Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back to today's Daf Hayimi, Maseches KEREISOS Daf Vav. We began around 19 lines from the top of the Amid at the 2 dots. So another item on the Kares list is Hamafate Mesak Keteris. One emulates the Keteris recipe, prepares a batch of Keteris for his own personal use. Tanarabban, Hamafate Mesak Keteris. Suppose he prepares Keteris, but not for personal use. To study, to train himself into preparing Keteris for a good purpose for the tzibur, or he's actually doing it for the tzibur, pater, but for personal benefit, for personal fragrance, he's chayiv. On the other hand, if a person actually just enjoys the smell, he inhales and enjoys the reach of the public keteris as it's being burned, pater, l'shemal, he's pater from keres, despite there being a me'ila concern because he diverted hegdish material for personal use, but there's no keres. So in a nutshell, hamafatam sak keteris involves a fellow who prepares the keteris product for personal use. But if he actually just smells keteris shel tzibur, in that case he's pater, but there is me'ila. Ask the Gemara, Umiyika me'ila b'reich. Why would there be a me'ila concern in terms of just fragrance? It's not something, tangible. V'ha'amar Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi. He quotes Amar Shimon Levi, Mishmar Kapara. Koil, the beautiful sounds of music emanating from the instruments played by the Levim in the Beis Hamikdash. Umara, or if a person enjoys looking at the beauty, gazing the architecture of the Heichal of the Beis Hamikdash v'reich, or ingesting the reich, enjoying the wonderful smell of keteris, ein ba mishavila, there's no me'ila. So are we saying that there is me'ila by reich? Answers the Gemara, depends when. Reich, when it comes to reich of keteris, achar shetale timrasai, after the plume of smoke has already risen, mitzvah is over, ein ba mishavila, there's no me'ila, as per the second price. Sharei ein lecha davar achar shenasa mitzvah sayum yalma. You don't find the phenomena of something which is processed, its mitzvah has been fulfilled, and there should still be me'ila. Me'ila becomes deactivated at that point. It's on, it's done and over with. So the second quote is talking about after it's done, whereas the first brisa, which applies me'ila even to reich of keteris, is before it's been processed. Allah malai, why do you say that? Nasis mitzvah carries no me'ila? I'll give an example of something which carries me'ila, even after the fulfillment of the mitzvah. The ashes that they remove every morning from the mizbeach, the nas mitzvah. Once you remove it, you put it down on the ground, it's done. There's still me'ila. Well, says the Gemara, that's an exception. That's one example, one exception. Another is the begadim that the Kohen Gadol wears. These are two psukim, two halachas that coincide. And we know when the Torah repeats a halacha once and again, is to tell you that the halacha is meant to be limited. Leave it by those. Otherwise, it would just say it once and learn everything from there. The fact that it repeats it tells you we have two psukim coinciding. You can't export that halacha elsewhere. Hence, we know that in general, after the mitzvah is done, there's no me'ila, except for these two cases. So this is true according to the Rabbanon, who say that the begadim that Kohen Gadol wears retain their isser even after done. El Rabbi Deisa Meikalamim come to Rabbi Deisa that once the begadim had been used, the me'ila is deactivated. If so, we only have one exception to the rule, which is Trumas Hadesh, and why can't we learn from there to everywhere else? The Sani, we have a brayso regarding Big Day Kehuna. B'nicham Sham, Arna Kohen, the Kohen Gadol wears begadim on Yom Kippur. When he's done, V'nicham Sham, we leave them there. What does that mean? Malamid, Shetun Gnisi, you hide them, put them away, because you can't use them anymore. Rabbi Doisa Eimer, you could. Ksher and Hein, the Kohen Hedyot, the white begadim here, can be transferred to a regular Kohen to use throughout the year. What then does the pasuk mean by saying leave them there permanently? Just means that another Kohen Gadol cannot reuse them the next Yom Kippur, but you could transfer them to the Kohen Hedyot throughout the year for regular use. Okay, so according to Rabbi Day, so you could reuse the Big Day Kahuna. If so, we only have one example of an exception, Trumas Hadesh, where Me'ilah is still active even after it's been fulfilled. So why can't we learn from there to everywhere else? The answer is, we have another exception actually on the list. That's one. If the Egla Rufa, the beheaded calf, there are two psukim coinciding, that even after the mitzvah had been fulfilled, they still retain Isser Hana, they're still Asr. If so, we limit it to those two cases. Trumas Hadesh and Maya, where do we find that the Isra of Trumas Hadesh is still active? The Sanya. There's some Moy Eitzel Mizbeach. Malamed, we learned this. To an Ignis, you have to have it stay there for all time. There's some Moy, put it there and it gets absorbed in the ground, and that's it. It's Asr Bahana, even though it's been already. Egla Rufa Maya, where's the Egla Rufa case? The Sanya. Pasuk says, V'aravu Shamas Egla Banocha. They do the arif of the egla. V'aravu Sham. Leave it there. Don't touch it. Don't enjoy it. Don't have any anah from it. You can't use it. It's asur anah. So we have two sources. One for the Trumas Hadesh, one for Egla Rufa, that even after the mitzvah has been done, the Isra anah remains. I feel man Amar. Shnei Ksuvin Avoim Ke'echad Malam. Even according to the opinion that even when we have two psukim coinciding, we can still export that concept elsewhere. But now, okay, certainly you can't. You know why? Because the Torah gives us a special stipulation. We have two mi'utim. That this concept is limited to these two cases. But Trumas Hadesh and Ksiv v'samai. Samai means it only applies to this. Hadein, in only this retains the Isser. But midachun eloi, otherwise, once the mitzvah has been fulfilled, Isra Hana expires, and Egla Rufa as well. The Ksiv, it says, Ha'arufa. Only the Arufa has, only that retains Isra Hana, even after the fact, but otherwise, elsewhere not. Okay, now on to the Pitamak Teres. How did they prepare the Teres? What was included? What type of, what was the recipe? Tanarabana. Pitamak Teres. So if you look at the Psukim, it's worthwhile taking a look at the pasuk before we see the Gemara, just make it easier to understand. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe. If you have it on the margin, that's great. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe. Kach l'cho samim. Some have it on the next Amud on the base. Kach l'cho samim. So interestingly, if you look at the pasuk, it only mentions 4 types of materials, and we know that it's really 11. We have a Kabbalah Teresh Baal Peh. It's really 11, and we're going to see how that's learned from the pasuk. But in terms of labeling them, naming them by name, it's only 4 in the pasuk. Kachach samim. Samim is sort of generic, ingredients, plants. Then we have natov, ushecheles, chelbana, which is actually a foul-smelling ingredient, chelbana. Then we have samim again, generic samim. And then the 4th one, ulevain nazak, pure levain. Bad badia, grind it up. That's your keteris. They would prepare a full amount annually for the full year, and every day they would be makter a mana, half in the morning, half in the afternoon. Tanarabon, pita makteris. What was included? What was contained in this crushed keteris powder? So how would they do it? Pita makteris. Hatzari, which is kind of a tree sap, vatzipiren, vachelbana, valavina. How much of each? Mishgal shall shivim mana. 70 mana, a certain weight, of each ingredient. Now, these are stipulated in the pasuk. Because the tsari, that's the nataf, it drips off the tree, mentioned in the pasuk. Tzipiren, that's the shchelas, mentioned in the pasuk. Chelbana, of course, that's in the pasuk as well. And Levina, right? Fourth in the pasuk. So these are actually the ones labeled in the pasuk. And then we have additional ones, which are learned from the word samim. We have moir, which we discussed the other day. That's also included in the Shem HaMishcha. That's, according to the Rambam, some sort of substance taken out of an animal. Some say it's musk oil. Moir uktzia, that's the root of the kida plant. Shiboiles neerd, and becharkaim. So these you bring much less of. Mishkal shisha asar shashisha samasa, 60 man of each. Hakoisht shnei masa, 12 of the koisht. Kilufa, that you only have 3. Shloisha, v'kinamin, cinnamon, tisha 9. So these are the 11 ingredients in the Keteris. How do you get to 11? So we'll see later in the Gemara, because the word samim, the beginning of the pasuk is 2. Then it has 3 name by name, so that's 5. And then the next word, samim, tells you double it. It's plural, double. Go from 5 to 10, plus the Levina, which is 11. We'll see that later in the Gemara. What else was involved in preparing the Keteris, which wasn't technically considered an ingredient, an active ingredient? Boiris, karshina, some sort of plant used to make detergent. They would use it to wash the one of the ingredients there to brighten it up. Tisha carbon, 9 carbon of that. Yin kafrisen, this wine. Some say it's the slaf juice. Saint loss of a carbon loss of 3 sa and 3 kav of that. Yin kafrisen, if you can't find that, Levi chamar chaber and atik, he brings some old, good old white wine. Umelach steimis, melach from steim. Roiva. How much melach? A quarter of a kav. Tosfos explains that the salt was actually part of the white wine concoction used to substitute for the yin kafrisen. But some bring different place that they should always put melach, regardless. Okay. Malach and kolshu, a special, unique, mystical ingredient. That was the malach, which was kept a secret, right? So it was called malach because it would make the smoke rise straight up. Kolshu, even a little bit, works. Another type of plant which grows on the banks of the Jordan. Kolshu, a little bit of that. And this was meant to soak the tzipor. I mean, these ingredients were meant to, we used to process part of the other ingredients. These aren't really actual ingredients needed for the Keteris per se. It was just used to prepare the Keteris material to use, to wash it, to clean it. Now, if you put a little honey into the Keteris, it would smell beautifully, but it would invalidate it. The pasuk clearly disallows the insertion of honey. And likewise, if he missed chisar, achas, mikosam, and if he left out any of these 11 ingredients, chayiv misa, we're talking that he, on Yom Kippur, he went to the Kodesh HaKadoshim, he's meant to bring the Keteris. If it's a missing Keteris, then he has no business going there, and he's chayiv misa. Okay, now we go back and explain parts of that brisa. We spoke about tsari. What's the tsari? Tsari enel esraf. It's a sap. Hanoita, which drips from a certain tree called ketaf, me'atzah ketaf. What was the point of Baris Karshina, this soap, Sheshafen Bas HaTziporim? They would take the tziporim, they would rub it, they would clean it with this. Kadesh, they know it should be bright and clean, because it was naturally blackish. They would clean it up, make it. What's the point of Yin Kafrisin? Sheshafen Bas HaTziporim. They would soak the tziporim in Kadesh Tei Aza, to bring out the smell of the tziporim. Here comes an interesting question. Why didn't they use meraglayim instead of yen kafrisen? And some learn that meraglayim isn't wastewater. It actually was like a river, a body of water called raglayim or ragliim, and the water of that river. Why didn't they use that, which was just as effective, or more effective? It was more effective than the yen kafrisen, because of its name. You wouldn't bring this water to the Mikdash because of its this honorable name. It sounds like wastewater. So, since the KEREISOS was processed in the Mikdash, it would avoid this ingredient. It's right to him, the Amr says that where did they prepare the KEREISOS? In the Beis HaMikdash. Hence, they avoided bringing in this, this honorable. Says on the KEREISOS, tells you that even the preparation, even the soaking of the tziporim, everything happens in the Beis HaMikdash. Maybe it's a kasha because we have a brisa, which indicates that you can make KEREISOS even outside the Mikdash. So you have a generous fellow who donates everything. A magdash nachasav, he gave it all away to the Bedek HaBayis. And within his belongings we find some materials which can technically be suitable for a public carbon. What do you do with it? Ideally, you want to have it end up being a carbon, but the fact is he donated to the Bedek HaBayis, not to the Mizbeach. So what do we do? We take this material. We'll get to it soon. All right? Let's figure out exactly what it is that's Roy for Karbanis, maybe a KEREISOS, let's see. So you give it to the workers who worked in Beis HaMikdash, who are deserving of a salary. You pay their wages with this material. And then we'll see later, you rebuy it, and you can use it for a carbon. Now, before we continue, what exactly we talk? Hani dvarim haruyin, ma'niyu. No, what are the suitable materials? Ibem v'chaya, tanale. Are we talking about animals? That's discussed in the Mishnah later. That talks about, what to do with those. That's covered. Is wines, oils, flowers. Tanale, again, that's covered in the next Mishnah. Elulav KEREISOS. The only thing that's left out is KEREISOS. Apparently, this fellow had privately made KEREISOS, and that's Roy for the tzibur. And since he donated everything that he owns, so now technically you want to use it for the Mizbech, and how do you do it? You give it to the workers, and you buy it back, right? So apparently you can prepare KEREISOS outside Beis HaMikdash. And earlier we said we can't. No, of course they prepared the KEREISOS in the Beis HaMikdash. Question: how did this fellow end up with privately owned KEREISOS? The answer is like this: they would actually take real KEREISOS at the end of the year, whatever's left over. We're going to see later, a lot of KEREISOS left over. So if they had leftover KEREISOS and they had workers that just painted the Beis HaMikdash, so what they were trying to do is, on the one hand, pay the workers, on the other hand, salvage this very precious material and bring it back to be used for the Beis HaMikdash for next year's work. So they would do like this: the Sanya, Moiser KEREISOS, that leftover KEREISOS, after a year is over, after Adar is over, that was the end of the year regarding the fiscal budget year in Beis HaMikdash, meaning starting from Nisan, they have to rebuy. They have to buy all the carbon material with the new Mas HaShekel, the new fund. So this is left over from last year's purchases. They want to refresh it, reuse it for next year. How do you do that? What would we do with the extra KEREISOS? They would put aside $100 worth of KEREISOS for the workers, for their wages. So first of all, they would take money from the Bedek HaBayis, $100, put it aside for the workers. They would take this leftover KEREISOS and they would transfer its kedusha on that money that they had just earmarked for the salaries. Once it was earmarked, it becomes chulin, right? So now this keteris can get transferred onto that money, and now the keteris is vacated from its kedusha. They would give the keteris to the workers for their pay, just for a minute. And they tell the worker, hold on 1 second, don't go, you don't need that keteris, we need it. And they'll rebuy it from the new truma, from the new masal shekels. So now everybody's happy. The workers get their money, we have the precious keteris back in the Beis HaMikdash, and it's refreshed. It belongs to the new budgetary year. It was bought from the new funds. So here's a classic example where it's possible for a plain, ordinary person to have in his possession keteris, but real keteris. Because for that moment, the Umanan got this keteris. Before he bought it back, it was theirs. And let's say a fellow at that point pledged it. That's the case of perhaps the case of the Mishnah there in Shkolim. He gave it all away. Now we have real, true, legitimate, bona fide keteris materials, which were prepared properly in Beis HaMikdash, as required, but it's owned by a private person. Okay, so we're still insisting that keteris has to be prepared in Beis HaMikdash. There's no kasha from this story. Maskal Rav Yossi has a kasha. How could you say it? This fellow pledged the keteris that had been given to the workfellow. Because if you look around those Mishnayos, whenever it talks about leftover materials, wines, Tani, the Mishnah clearly explains how to go about doing this process, how to rebuy it. So after they're given to the workers for their salary, you rebuy it from the new money. But if you look back at the Mishnah that we asked from, this fellow was Magdish, it just stops short. It just says he had stuff that could have been used for karbonis, you give it to the workers. Now, if we're talking about a fellow who got in his possession keteris because it was extra and it was given to him temporarily with the intent of buying it back, why didn't the Mishnah explain that you rebuy it from the new truma? But that's required. You have to do that. You have to rebuy from the new money. So it would seem that we're not talking about your classic, leftover keteris. Rather, we're talking about a fellow who had just privately made keteris. So that's why we don't buy from him. There's no need to rebuy it. It was still all the year. The whole point of rebuying it is because it expired. It belongs to last year and you have to rebuy it from the new. We're talking about that case. A fellow, straightforward, he had keteris that he made and he donated it. So it would seem that you can prepare keteris in your backyard, in your basement. Not in the Beis HaMikdash. Elam Rav Yosef, Bechad Misammonei keteris. Okay, we're not talking about a full concoction. He didn't fully prepare a full recipe. That has to be done in Beis HaMikdash. No, what happened was, he had one of these ingredients. He had tsari or whatever he had at home. He donated it. Okay, that's legit. That's fine. Tana Rabban. Keteris. So as we explained, they would prepare a full batch for the full year. Keteris Hasenasis, Shloish Meis Shisha Mishmoina Mana, 368 mana amounts. Why? Why 368? Shalosh Meis Shisha Mechamisha Kneg Meis Achama, 365, as per the days of the solar year. Although we follow the lunar, but ultimately after the you have the leap years, right? So after all said and done, it averages it out. So you need that much per day, one per day. An extra 3 was for Yom Kippur. Shloisha, money you send, extra 3 mana, Shemehen, Machs, Kan Gadol, Melechafnim, Kippurim, which Kan Gadol would use for Melechafnim to fill his scoopful for Yom Kippur, for the Kodesh HaKadosh. Vashar. Now ultimately there was going to be some left over because he wouldn't take the full 3 money, he would scoop out of it. So inevitably there's going to be some remnants. Like we said before, you give it to the workers, they make that swap. Netenas L'Omen HaMischar. Because the sign is what? Nabraisa, Ma'aseh Keteris, Ma'yosim. What would they do with the extra keteris? As we explained, go through the whole process, step by step, until you bring it back in the Beis HaMikdash. Mafrishin, schar umnen, you would set aside money for the workers' pay. Umechal noisa alma is umnen, you take the leftover keteris, transfer the kedusha onto that money. Now the money is kodesh and the keteris is chayil. Now you give the keteris to the umnin. Hold it, one second, I'm going to buy it right back. The noise lom schar mechayzim like chanois, some chadash, we buy it from the Trumas Halashka for the new money. We turn time place. Turn up on it. Moisra keteris. Achas l'shishim v'l'shivim shana. Truth is that after a while it would accumulate. There would be so much left over keteris that after around 60 or 70 years, the leftover, the extra, would accumulate to a half a year's fill. Once in 60, 70 years, they would only have to prepare half the recipe because they already had half sitting there. So likewise, for a private person who's not meant to prepare the keteris, prepares it, but instead of preparing a full annual batch, prepares only half, he's also liable, because that's also a form of preparation, which was occasionally done in the Beis HaMikdash. Divrei Rabban, Shimon Gamliel. Shamar quotes Mishma Askan, quotes the Shimon ben Askan. Aval Shlish Reveal Shamat. But I never heard them doing, a third of the amount or a quarter. They wouldn't wait that long, 90 years, 100. So that wasn't really a process that was done in Beis HaMikdash. Hence, if a yachid, an individual, does that, he's not liable. V'chacham aimrim b'chol yom mesaken maskunta. If they want, they don't have to prepare the whole year's supply in advance. They can do that day's requirement, a mana, v'yamachnas, and bring it in, day by day, to Haktarah, right? So basically, according to Rabbanon, sometimes they would prepare in advance, sometimes it was just a daily thing. Prepare the daily quota by machas and offered as a Haktarah. So likewise, on the flip side, if a yachid would do that, he's also chayiv. Just does one money, it's chayiv. And that's a right to Rava, who says even a partial preparation carries liability. When it comes to the fragrant oil, doing it part way is pater, in its proper format. A full amount you can't do. But part of it is okay. But partial preparation of the keteris amount, keteris that could be offered. You can do a half a month and one half in the afternoon. And some learn that although technically they could prepare a half in the morning afternoon, but in terms of a yachid, only chayiv does a full mana, which is like a full day's amount. Okay, in any case, even partial carries liability. Turn around. Further, regarding preparation of the keteris, so twice a year they would bring back the ingredients, the powder, back into the mortar and crush it again, grind it again, to refresh its smell. Now, in the summer, because of the heat, they would store it more spread out. It shouldn't spoil. So in the summer, because of the heat, they would do it like that. It's usually tough. But in the winter, they would actually bunch it together, pile it, so that it doesn't lose its it shouldn't lose its smell. Okay, so they knew exactly how to handle it, preserve it in the best fashion. Now, when the fellow would crush, Omer, so the boss would say, Hadek, Hadev, Hadev, Hadek. Crushed, well crushed. So he would spur him on with words. We'll see later why they have to verbalize it. We'll see later. Div Rabba Yesi ben Yechon v'sholish man yaseder shemehen kohen gadol machas miloi chafrav Yom Kippur. Now the 3 extra mana which was used by the kohen gadol in Kippur, that would be crushed yet again to make sure it's super fine powder. Nois l'machteshes be'erev Yom Kippur. Erev Yom Kippur would return it to the machteshes v'shechon yav and crush it even better. It should be super fine daka min hadak. Kedesanya. Find in a brayso that on Yom Kippur, the pasuk speaks about finely ground keteris, daka, What's the point of mentioning? We already know. We say already back in the daily Keteris. We know it's ground. What's the point of mentioning it again today? To tell you has to be super fun. Hence, they had to recrush. So when he would be sitting and crushing it, the manager would call out, why? It's right to Rabbi Yochanan, just like we know that speaking around wine can be detrimental to its quality. Some likewise, speaking words around the psalm actually help it, enhance its smell. This takes us back to the number of ingredients in the Keteris, a total of 11, were related to Moshe Rabbeinu by Har Sinai. So aside from the 4 stipulated in the Torah, it's really a total of 11. Amar Ravuna Mikra. What do we find? A hint to 11 in the Torah. We only have 4. Answer: Kachal Chasamim. That's plural. Trey 2. Not of V'shcheles v'chalbanat Chamisha. 2 plus 3 is 5. V'samim. The next mentioning of samim means duplicated. V'samachrin. The other samim is to tell you double it. Go from 5 to 10. Chamisha. Hasar. So add another 5 for a total of 10. That's your 11th chad. Hachatzrei for your 11. Ve'ema, who says? Maybe samim. And samim is not to tell you double it and add. It's just to give you a formula in terms of what type of ingredients to use. Maybe samim in the beginning of the pasuk is a klal, a general formula. Any type of, Then we have not of v'shcheles v'chalb, That's a specific reference to a detailed, to a specific, prat, to detail. Samim, then the next mentioning of the word samim, chazal b'chal, it's again a generalization. Here's your classic klal. Generalization followed by uprat, by a specific reference, b'chlal, concluding with a klal. Yet done a prat. You can only include ingredients which are similar in nature and feature to the klal, to the prat. What's unique about those 3 mentioned? Ma prat mefurash. Davar shekoyter va'oila. V'reichei noidev. What's unique about those 3? Davar shekoyter va'oila. Their smoke rises straight up. And it's reichei noidev. Exudes a pleasant aroma. Likewise, you could include anything which shares those characteristics. Its smoke rises up, exudes a pleasant aroma. Okay, so who says we add more ingredients? Maybe we stick to the ones mentioned in the Torah. But the point is, you can substitute as long as it shares its characteristics. Perhaps you'll say, no. It's not a klal prat klal. Because it's only for the klal prat klal. It would be enough to have 1 example. Why 3? Well, the truth is, mitzvah trichi, all 3 are needed. Because each one represents a different type of material. Because of natav. If only natav, which is tree sap, I would say, it must be tree material. Min ilan. Only that. But plants and grass. That doesn't work. That's what necessitated the adding of shechelas. Some say I think cloves, right? Which are gedulei karka. Because of shechelas. Had the Torah only said shechelas, gedulei karka in only plants. But something off a tree doesn't work. Natav. That's why it says natav. So each thing is needed. Why uchelben? Why chelben? For its own sake. I tell you that you bring it despite the fact that it does not have a pleasant smell. So bottom line is, maybe the pasuk is simply presenting a classic klal prat klal. Samim, followed by the examples to tell you a tree type, plant type, and then concluding with the word samim, klal prat klal. You can substitute anything that shares, similar features. We're not trying to go from 3 or 4 to 11. And Cain says the Gemara, if it's only Talmud to teach you klal prat klal, mikach lecha nafkele. Why does the Torah have to even mention kach lecha samim? Just say kach lecha, take for you, which is a general reference to any type of fragrant material. By adding the word samim, Pasuk is telling you that aside from klal prat klal, it's also coming to tell you expand the numbers from 4 to 11. Says the Ve'ema samim basroi treininu kasamim kadmoi. Fine. So samim means 2. But then the second mentioning of samim, you said turns it from 5 to 10. Who says? Maybe samim just means add another 2, just like the first samim adds 2. Im Kain, if it's so, nichtayv samim adi adadi. If it's just to tell you, add 2 and 2, it would put the word samim next to each other. V'soif nichtayv notav ushcheles v'cham, then followed by the specifics. Why did Torah split samim in the beginning, samim later on, to tell you that the second samim is coming to duplicate from 5 to 10? Dvei Rishmal Tani. So in this brayso, it is presented as a klal prat klal. We begin with samim, that's a klal. Notav ushcheles v'cham, those are specifics, prat. And the next samim, chaz v'kal, it's again a klal. We have a klal prat klal, elokein prat. So we can only include things which are similar in nature to the specific examples, which are ma prat mafoirish davar shekayt v'aylo. What's specific? What's unique about those examples? Smoke rises straight up. It exudes a pleasant aroma. Likewise, you can include other items which share the same features. Maybe the klal is the klal risha and the prat is prat achron. What does this mean? We'll see later in the Gemara. More explain. Klal b'chlal risha and the prat risha. The answer is lav. No, you can't say the ha. Rather, what's going on? Let's go back to these words. Maybe it's not so. Ela klal b'chlal rishon or prat rishon. The answer is lav. No, incorrect. Etc. My question: what was the problem that we're trying to answer? The kasha was like this: samim asroi trei ki samim kadmoi trei. Very similar to the previous kasha we had before. Who says he double it from 5 to 10? The second samim, maybe he's just adding another 2, just like the first samim added 2. Hada v'shana kedeshana. And that's the answer the Bryce is giving, like we said before. Dim kain. Because if it's only coming to add 2, it would put that word in the beginning of the discussion. Nichtav, it would say kra, the pasuk would say samim, and then sam, 2, and then followed by notav ushcheles v'cham. The fact that it placed samim at the end, towards the end of the list, tells you that it's meant to multiply the aforementioned number by 2. So that was the first part of his question. When he says, Eina ela klal b'chlal rishon, meant to say maybe the second klal is just adding 2 just like the first klal, and the answer is, the placement indicates otherwise. What was the second part of his question? Prat b'prat rishon, what does that mean? Umay, what did he mean to say prat b'prat rishon? He was asking like this. We allow tree products, mini elonis, from where? From natav, which is a tree product. The alfi min natav. Plants, v'gedul karka, that's learned from shcheles. The alfi, v'gedul karka yagvi mishcheles. Says the Gemara. V'lelfi, nami milvayna zaka. The isi b'chatzat. Now, levayna zaka happens to be something which exudes a pleasant aroma. It doesn't have this feature of rising smoke straight up. So why can't we learn from there? We can include other ingredients which only contain one element. Meaning, you can bring something which has a pleasant smell, even though it doesn't have that smoke rising ability. So who says we need both conditions? Hada Amar. On that, the Brisa responds, if it's so, that we're going to compare to Levaina, that one element is enough. Would put Levaina Zaka amongst the other ingredients. Why do you put it separate from the other ones? It says not v'chalban, and then later it says Levaina. We learn from there that even one element is enough. The fact that it separated it and put Levaina at the very end of the discussion, separate from not v'chalban, tells you that you meant to focus on not v'chalban, which contain, at least not v'chalban, contains the concept of their smoke rising up. So that's required. Well, says the Gemara, who says that's the I'll tell you why I couldn't put Levaina right in the middle, because then we end up with 12 instead of 11. Imagine it would say not of Ashkelz v'chalban, and then Levaina Zaka, and then it would say Samim. So it starts with Samim, which is 2, adds all 4, which is 6, then Samim doubles it to 12. Maybe that's the reason why I couldn't put it there, not because of your reason. Imkain, because no, if that's the only concern, Nichtav Kro Levaina Zaka v'mitzei, v'chalban v'seif. If the point of the Torah is to tell you, learn from Levaina Zaka. You don't need the smoke, rising thing. So Nichtav Kro Levaina Zaka v'mitzei, we put Levaina Zaka in the middle of the other examples and substitute it. V'chalban v'seif, and replace Chalban, put Chalban out of the list. Because in any case, you don't learn much from Chalbana. Chalbana, we said, is unique and has a bad smell, right? So it's like a thing on its own. Let it be separate from the rest. Let the Torah say Samim, and then Natav and Shcheles and Levaina Zaka, to be used as catalysts, as precedents for what's required. And then the Chalbana all the way at the end. Samim, Natav, Shcheles, Levaina Zaka, then again Samim, to go from 5 to 10, then Chalban at the end for 11. Shlogesh Amar, Migufa. I'll tell you why you can't use ingredients which don't have this straight up rising smoke. Look at the word. Migufa, Ma'alash and what does Teres mean? Its smoke rises straight up. That's why it's required. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Bar Brizna, Amar Rabbi Shimon Chasida. What do we learn from the chalbana? This foul-smelling ingredient. What's it doing there? Called tanis she'embo me'peshi yisrael. Whenever Klal Yisrael gets together, right? We daven on a fast day, we do tshuva. If we don't have peshi yisrael, even who deviated and now did the tshuva, if we don't have them involved and included in our experience now, tefillah eina tanis, doesn't have the same impact, the same effect. The fast day and the tefillos that accompany the fast day have to include people that came back to the fold, did teshuvah, who are now very precious in the eyes of Hashem. How do we know this? Chalban has this very unpleasant smell, and Hashem wants it in the Keteris. I want them too. Umana hakas, the Torah counts them amongst imsamani Keteris. You see how important it is to have this element as well. And translating into our case, it's people who deviated. But now that the teshuvah, the madrega of al teshuvah is tremendous, and his tefillah is very impactful. We need them as part of our tefillah. Abaye Mihacha, bring you another raya. V'agudas al eretz yisada. When Klal Yisrael is tied together, b'aguda achas, with all the various elements of our community, then al eretz yisada establishes the world and brings success. Okay, next item on the chorus list. A person takes the genuine Shemen HaMishcha from the Beis HaMikdash and he applies it on his own skin. Let's say he did it on a behema. The kelim on a utensil potter is exempt. Like the chavim, or a mace and potter, likewise on a goy, on a mace. B'yishleima, behema v'kelim, understand behema v'kelim, is potter d'chsiv, b'sar adam l'yisach. There are ones against putting on a person. Behema v'kelim don't qualify, live adam ninu, they're not adam. Mace v'nami potter, given the mislay. Mace mikri adam, likewise puts it on a deceased person since he died. It's called the mace, not an adam. Eloid gechama, my potter, but on a goy. Why is he exempt to adam ninu? They qualify as adam. Liar, says him or no. The true status of Adam is unique to Yisrael. Chsiv, v'atein, only you call Yisrael tzayni tzayni marisi Adam Adam. Adam, you are Korean Adam. Vein, become Korean Adam, doesn't apply to a guy. Famous story, Vincent Eibschitz was challenged by the priest. front of the king. What do you mean? How could you put down the goyim? We're not called Adam. What are we? Animals? He writes that he was struck by a tremendous enlightenment from Hashem. It was tremendous Siyat B'Shmai. It couldn't have been natural. He says it came from Hashemayim. He has this wonderful insight. And he says, look, Rabbi said, no, that's not what it means. Rather, the pasuk is highlighting something unique among Klal Yisrael. When a Yid is in pain, anywhere in the world, all other Yidden feel his pain. We're one body. We're all limbs of the same body, which is something unique to Yisrael. Goyim don't have that. The guy is suffering in Antarctica, nobody cares about him in Australia. So that's what the pasuk means. We're part of this unique entity, this unique Klal Yisrael club, which is one body, one guf, one entity, and that's what the pasuk means. In any case, it worked, and he was saved. The king bought it, and he was able to walk away. In any case, the true status of Adam is only by Yisrael. Okay, so you put it on the guy, you put. We do find the term Adam applied to a guy as well by the Muhammad of Midian, 16,000 Adam. It's all, about context, because the pasuk speaks about behemoths as well. So in contrast to behemoth, calls the goyim Adam, but the true madrega of Adam only applies to Yisrael. Likewise by Nineveh, Hashem says, "I'm not going to have compassion on this big, huge city, more than 12,000 riboy Adam." They were goyim. Again, contrast to the behemoth, which is mentioned in that pasuk. That's why he gives the goyim a label Adam. Another answer. I'll tell you why. The Yishar Nishcha on the body of a goy doesn't qualify, because the Tana Kamei Dor B'Lazar, like the Tana presented a brisa for B'Lazar, Kol She'eshne B'Sach, Yeshne Bal Yisach. So the Chacham presents a brisa which says like this. It goes hand in hand, it's linked. Kol She'eshne B'Sach, a person who's warned against smearing the oil on himself or on others, Yeshne Bal Yisach. He's also covered by the Isser of having the oil put on him. So it goes hand in hand. So Yisrael, who is not meant to apply it on himself or others, so he can't have it applied on him either. But a guy who doesn't have the first element doesn't have the second element. We call She'ein B'Sach, but a guy who's not warned against using it, and in Bal Yisach likewise, is not covered by the Isser having it placed on him as well. Tanidach, brother Brisa, it applies on all his pata. Suppose he put it on a king who already had anointment, or a kohen gadol. Rameir Machayev, you have no business putting it again. Rabbi Yehuda Poiter, he exempts him. After all, it's suitable for him, it's meant for him, even though it's redundant, but there's no chi. Another question. Totally separate. What's the shear? What's the amount of oil that's applied that triggers a kares? Even a drop. It has to be a kazayis. Now the Gemara at this point figured that they're discussing a proper anointment of a king or a kohen gadol, and the amount that's needed. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Sorry, the Gemara at this point figured that they're arguing about a fellow who placed the oil on a kohen gadol or a king who was already anointed. So how much triggers a liability? A drop. The question of Yehuda already said that regardless if the kohen is meant to be anointed, and likewise the king, even though he was already anointed, you put it on your potter. V'amar Yehuda potter. So how could he say if you put a kazayis, ki potter Yehuda gav melachim kayhanim? Yeah, he's talking about a king but there he's potter. Gav hedit mechayim, but here we're talking about a hedit. Standard application of Shem Nishcha on a regular person who's undeserving. How much is needed to trigger the chiyuv? Rabbi says a kol, Rabbi says a kazayis. No, what's the machlokes about? Rabbi might plead. What's the machlokes about? Rabbi Yisrael plead machlokes as follows. Rabbi Savar, look at the pasuk. Absar Adam lo yisach. It shouldn't be smeared. Uksiv, and then when the pasuk talks about kares, it says vashayitain. Yitain is lashon asina, placement of significance. Vashayitain men also. Rabbi says no, it doesn't change the equation. Masicha kol shav nesina kol shav. Just like in the first pasuk it says yisach, which indicates even a drop. Likewise, asher yitin means a drop as well, and this covers. For Rabbi Savar, no. Yalfina Nesina Dalzor, Nesina Dalma. Fact is, it says Asher Yitin Min Alzar. We learn the definition of the word Nesina from Nesina elsewhere. Ma Nesina Dalma, because I just like elsewhere. When you say Nesina, it means something of significance. A Kazayis. Rashi says we learn it from a different pasuk by Truma, where V'nasan l'koyin HaKodesh, there it's a Kazayis. After Nesina Dalzar Kazayis, likewise, placement of the soil on a non-deserving fellow is a Kazayis. But in terms of a proper application of the oil on the king or the kohen who's deserving of it, you don't have to have a kazayis, even a drop works. Okay, now let's go back to the first machlekes. We discussed the shear of sich on the zor, kazayis, or what about the first machlekes? A kohen gadol who already had the anointment, a melech already, and you already add more. Rabbi says chayev, Rabbi says pater. What's that machlekes about? Rabbi said by pligi, Rabbi Yehuda gabi melech mekayan. Rabbi said Rabbi holds vashitim and al zor. The pasuk says whoever places an azar, undeserving. And guess what? V'melech kohen gadol hashta zar minu. With respect to this new application of this oil, they're considered like zarim, like a stranger. They have no business engaging with this oil again, even though they've been anointed in the past. So they're like anybody else, and it carries full liability. For Rabbi Savar, he says no, but in an adi kazar mitchlas vat soifai. For liability, it needs to be a true zar from beginning to end, as opposed to this melech v'kohen and meikar lav zarim havu. Initially, they were not considered a zar with respect to the oil; they were deserving of the oil. So even though it's inappropriate, but there's no liability. Amar Riki B'Rav Ami. Interestingly, we find a different discussion which seems to link this Na'am Mishnah. We'll turn to the next topic. We have a woman from a Kohen family married to a regular Yisrael. Now, she has no business eating truma, and she did. Inadvertently. So typically when a Yisrael does that, he pays back the principal plus a fifth. What's her status? She's now technically married to Yisrael, so she has that status, but she's from a Kohen family, where truma is suitable for her. So if she ate it, she gets away just by paying the principal without adding the fifth, because she still retains some element of her former identity. Fact is, if her husband passes away and there are no kids, she can go back home and have everything. So she still retains a bit of that yichus, and she's exempt from the chaimish. So despite being married to Yisrael and having a status, but deep inside she's still a kohen. When we saw a streifa, if she deviates from her husband, she gets a streifa punishment, just like somebody from a kohen family. This is lechem napsulim. Let's say she marries somebody who's inappropriate for her, a mamzer, shlam is keren v'chaimish. In that case, her status changes completely. She loses her kahuna identity, and now if she eats the truma, she has to pay back the keren and the chaimish. Likewise, if she deviates from her husband, she gets chenek like any other Eishes Yisrael. The Reb Meir. So what do we see from here? That in the second case here, once she marries a apostle, she completely loses her initial identity. Likewise, in the case of the Shem HaMishcha, we have the Kohen Gadol, who is already anointed. That's it. At that point, he has no business engaging with the Shem HaMishcha. So even though initially he did, but now it's like anybody else. So it links, right? And this is Rabbi Yehuda speaking. Whether she married a regular Yisrael or she married even to an apostle, she still retains an element of kahuna. So she only pays back the principal. She doesn't have to add a fifth of the truma. Shreifa is applied because she's not a zara mitchila v'atzoif. She was not a zara from beginning to end. The fact is, she was a bas Yisrael. She was a full bas kohen until recently. till she married the apostle, right? So she's not a full zar, and therefore she gets special kohen status to a certain extent. Likewise, by the Shemen HaMishcha, since the kohen gadol at one point was not a zar with respect to Shemen HaMishcha, so he's not fully labeled as a zar, in which case even today, if the Shemen HaMishcha is applied, there's no liability. Interesting link up between the two discussions. So again, we had a machlekes regarding, let's say, a kohen gadol who was anointed, but now he's not. He's already anointed. He doesn't need any more oil. And then you apply the oil. What happens? Is it considered a zar like anybody else? Going to Reb Mirias, just like by the Bas Kohen. Once she loses her identity, she's treated like anybody else. Whereas going to Reb Yehuda, the old identity is somewhat maintained, and therefore by the Shemen HaMishcha is pater, just like by the Bas Kohen, she's still considered somewhat of a kohen even today. Amar Rav said one more point. Machlekes b'nesinas Shemen HaMishcha. This whole machlekes between Reb Meir, that even a drop of oil is a problem, and Reb Yehuda says only a kazayis, that's only b'nesinas Shemen HaMishcha, based on the explanations that we had, b'shenuye, the shanina, and the answers that explanations that we've given. But all agree, barring any indication otherwise, that the word nesina typically means a kazayis. Aval nesina da'alma, but typically when we have the word nesina, divra kol kazayis, all agree it's a kazayis. So Rashi says, let's say by a mincha b'choyten, I'll have lavoina. Lo yitin ale lavoina. So yitin means a kazayis. It's only chai by kazayis because, again, the term nesina means something of significance. It means a kazayis unless indicated otherwise. Good. Let's just go back again. Tani Tana Kamed Reb Lazar. So the Chacham presented Reb Lazar a drasha. How do we know that placement of Shemen HaMishcha on a goy is no liability? Because it goes hand in hand. Kol sheyeshne b'sach, yeshne bal yisach. The issue of bal yisach, not having the oil placed on him, is only on a person who is warned against using that oil. Kol sheyeshne b'sach, ein bal yisach. Bal yisach does not apply to someone who is ein b'sach, who is not under the issur of applying the oil. Meaning, if you have an issur to apply on yourself on others, so the oil may not be placed on you, but otherwise it's not asur. Amalei, he says Shabbat Ka'amris. He says it's well said. In fact, the word itself in the pasuk indicates as such. Lo yisach ksiv. So if you look closely at the word, it has two yuds. Lo yisach. Karibei lo yasach. So we can read it as though one of the yuds are inserted in the middle of the word. Lo yasich. You don't apply that oil. So when you have that isser, likewise, la yisach, you shouldn't be the one to have the oil placed on you. That's only by Yisrael, who has la yasich. Likewise, he has la yisach. Okay. We spoke about the isser of copying the KEREISOS recipe for personal use. Typically, once the mitzvah had been fulfilled, such as the ashram of KEREISOS having risen, there's no me'ilah. Nas mitzvah has no isra, has no me'ilah, except for some exceptions. We spoke about the making of the KEREISOS, the 11 ingredients, the amount that was needed per year, what to do with leftovers, how they would regrind it, especially on Erev Yom Kippur, daka and adaka. We spoke about the pasuk, klal prat klal. We spoke about the importance of the chelban included in the system, Paisha Yisrael needed in the tefillos to bring it up to Shamayim. We spoke about applying the Shemen HaMishcha inappropriately. It's only chayiv on Yisrael, but not on Behema Kalim or Oivdei Kechavim. We spoke about the Shir, Kazayas or Mashu. What happens? It's placed on a person who initially was deserving, a Kohen, Gadol or a Melech, but now it's inappropriate. Is he chayiv or not? Machlekes Reb Yehuda. And we'll link it up to a similar machlekes regarding a Bas Kohen. Okay, all the best to you. That's Lachara.